All right. So what do you think prompts you to start drinking when you do? So I know it's the middle of your day, so that time varies. But what is it about that particular time of the day, or what's going on in your day that you think it's a good time to have a beer?
I don't know that it's necessarily a time thing. It's maybe more of a feeling or some kind of a mindset where if I'm working on a project going well or not going well, maybe something breaks, I don't know, or run out of something I need, calm the nerves or I think maybe
Hmm.
sometimes it helps me, kind of concentrate or zone in on what I'm doing. Um, and unlike even some of my brothers or people I hang out
Hmm.
with, it's so I can't just have a beer with a project. I mean, I'm drinking two or more
Right.
beers for every one that they have.
Hmm.
So, I guess pacing myself has never been a strong suit. Definitely too much, but I guess the starting it would definitely just be kind of that relaxation. It's just habit. Again,
Right.
if I'm working on something, I got a wrench in one hand, I got a beer or a cigarette in the
Hmm.
other. Um, that's just how I work on stuff.
Okay. So it sounds a lot like you're doing drinking while you're doing activities around the house.
Yeah, my house,
Okay.
piece of property,
Right.
or even out on my boat. Sure.
Okay. What would it mean, or what's the possibility that you could do those activities without a beer?
Oh yeah, I could do them without a
Hmm.
beer. I mean, sure. I just think after a while, I'd probably go back to what I'm used
Okay.
to. Um, I mean, I'd probably grab a Pepsi or a water or something, but probably after a certain amount of time, I'd go back
Hmm.
go back to the beer. I guess. I really don't know. I mean, again, it's just what I'm used to doing. So having some other
So,
kind of different drink is, or whatever it is, it's just how I've always
hmm
worked.
so you're telling me that you think it's possible to replace that beer with maybe a Pepsi or water, but you don't think that would last.
I mean, it hasn't in the past.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm basing it on.
So you have tried this before?
Well, I mean, when I was, kind of strongly suggested by the courts
Hmm.
to make some changes, and I, had that non-drinking period, yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of what I'm basing that on. But like I said, having first I'll just have a beer when I'm done, kind of like that. I'm finished celebration. Let's relax.
Okay.
Um, and then one turns into two, and two turns into six, and it escalates very quickly.
I wonder what it is about the Pepsi or the water that isn't fulfilling you. What do you think it is about having to go back to beer? What do you think the beer is possibly giving you or fulfilling for you that Pepsi and water is not?
Um, I don't know. I guess kind of like the relaxation. I mean, just the effect of the alcohol,
Okay.
obviously. Tends to slow you down,
Mhm.
loosen you up a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not a shy person, and have a couple drinks, and I'm
Mhm.
really not a shy person. Um, you have the radio on. I don't know. It just all seems to go together for me. I
Okay.
mean, it's just the way it was when I was a kid growing up. Working on a lot of cars. My dad had a service station at one point. So we did a lot of car stuff. We used to build and race stock cars. So working with my dad, my brothers, just beer was always there. So I just always learned to you're working on a project. Just guys have beers. That's
Okay.
what they do. You know, I don't want to say it's part of being a man, but
Mhm.
that's just the way I was taught, I guess, learned. I'm not real
Okay.
sure how to phrase that.
So beer is giving you some relaxation. It's
Takes
it's a
the edge
habit.
off, you know,
Okay.
lets me calm down a little bit, I guess,
Mhm.
and that's not the same thing I would get from a Pepsi or a water. I kind of like that effect of
Hmm.
relaxation.
Is there anything else in your life that helps you relax that
Um,
isn't related to drinking?
hmm. I mean, I enjoy the outdoors. I used to do a lot of hunting and fishing. I mean, I still do, but not at the same level I did when I was a young man.
Hmm.
I like to go boating
Hmm.
with my wife, or sometimes family will come up to visit, friends, neighbors. Um, so I do get some relaxation, but other than the hunting, because obviously you can't walk around in the woods with a rifle and a beer, but
Hmm.
on the boat, I mean, there's beer all the time,
Okay.
and fishing, sometimes in the boat, sometimes off the shoreline, whatever. There's usually a beer involved in that too. It's just part of my activities.
Okay. So, are you looking to stop drinking?
Not particularly. I just, I guess I don't find that realistic.
Okay.
Everyone I know, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that. I mean, all the guys I hang around with, again, they're beer drinkers. So the beer is always going to be there. But I could definitely think, cutting back would be, probably something more realistic. I mean, I don't necessarily have to have half a case of beer or more every day. Um, so I guess cutting back's more realistic. I don't know that quitting and going completely, sober is probably something that is achievable necessarily, or I have a
Hmm.
whole lot of interest in. You
Okay.
know.
Do you think your wife or your daughter would like to see you cut back?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Do you think they would, or do you think they would rather see you stop?
Um. I I would like to think that if I was able to cut back and handle, you know, my beers like most other people, where they can go out and have a good time and
Hmm.
still get themselves home, like
Hmm.
they would like that. But that's not usually what happens. We go out to a picnic or a family birthday or a wedding, and a lot of times my wife probably can't have the good time she wants because she has to drive
Okay.
home because I'm completely inebriated. Telling stories over and over and over within the same hour, slurring my speech, kind of, belching constantly, kind of rifting that beer, I guess, from all the carbonation. But would they like me to quit? Sure, I guess. But I'd kind of like to think if I had the control to manage it, that they would
Hmm.
like the social aspects of, hey, he can have a couple and have a good time like everyone else, as
Okay.
opposed to maybe quit and maybe he can't enjoy himself, or maybe I lose some part of, I don't know, myself, my personality, something
Hmm.
like that, I guess.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of motivation to stop drinking, or at least cut back, is what you said is probably more possible for you. Um, how do you think you could achieve that goal of cutting back?
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm going to stop talking to my brothers, and it's
Okay.
not very logical to think I can change my neighbors or just uproot my
Hmm.
property and move somewhere else.
Right.
That's not really possible. But I mean, I could try something like restricting myself to evenings, or whatever that is on my
Hmm.
schedule. Later after quote unquote dinner. But um, I don't know if the smoking maybe has something
Hmm.
to do with it. If I was able to maybe stop the cigarettes, maybe that would help. The two habits probably kind of go together. I don't know if it's a oral fixation thing, or if it's something with the hands. I have got to have something going on. I'm not
Hmm.
sure, but
Well, you could have a Pepsi, you said, or maybe a water.
I mean, I mean, I could have something else to drink. I
Okay.
guess so.
But you didn't think that that would really satisfy you. So if there comes a point when you're doing activities and the water and the Pepsi is not working for you, how do you think you'll handle that?
Um, well, I mean,
instead of
like I
grabbing a
said,
beer?
you know, all my, my buddies, my brothers, I hang out with my brothers a lot. Um, they've never quite had that alcohol problem. I mean, my brother Charlie, had a few times off and on where he kind of pushed his limits, but never
Mm-hmm.
got to this point. My other older brothers, Ron and Bob, I mean, those guys, been in and out of the military. They're pretty disciplined. That's never been an issue with them. So I don't know that they can necessarily relate, but
Right.
talking to them could help. Um, you know, uh, Geez, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe try to do something else. Like if I'm working on something and I maybe get frustrated or think like hey, I'm pissed off, this isn't working, I broke
Mm-hmm.
something, I ran out, go grab a beer, I don't know, maybe walk away, find a new project, find
Okay.
something else to do, maybe, I guess, change my mindset. I'm not really an exercise person. I mean, I was when I was a young man. I used to work out a lot, but I'm not the type that's gonna jump on a bicycle or go for a run. I guess
Mm-hmm.
I could take the quad for a ride or something like that
Okay.
up at the farm, but I guess
So
maybe just change my scenery, change the situation.
okay.
I'm
So
guessing.
maybe next time you're thinking you want a beer, you just kind of step away and you find a new activity that you think help you cut back at least on drinking.
I mean, I would guess so. I mean, like I said, a lot of my drinking is usually when I'm active and
Right.
doing things around
Okay.
the house, around the property. So if I were to, I guess, just get up and change
Mm-hmm.
my thought process to just anything else than what I was focused on, I don't know, maybe that would help me, de-stress a little bit,
Okay.
change my mindset.
Is that a possibility for you then, you think?
Yeah,
Before you said you didn't think it was possible to be long term. Do you think that is something that could be long term for you?
possibly. I mean, I don't see it happening every time. I mean, sometimes
Okay.
I'm just going to get pissed off and I'm going to want a beer. That's just the way it is. But I'm sure there will be a lot of other situations where, maybe I kind of catch myself. All right,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Walk out of the garage, walk out of the barn, you know, go over, feed the animals or
Okay.
jump on the quad, take a ride, maybe go down to the store, get that thing that you need, you broke, you ran out
Okay.
of, whatever I was working on,
Do you think it's a possibility to maybe not have beer in the house? Would that help you cut back at all?
Um,
So that when you are feeling that urge and the Pepsi and your relaxation techniques or your stepping away techniques no longer work
I mean, it's possible.
and it's just not there for you, it's not available?
It's definitely possible. I don't necessarily see myself
Mm-hmm.
doing something like that unless it was kind of mandated by the state or possibly my wife,
Right.
It would definitely help if it wasn't there. You can't have it if it's not there, but probably would be around. Like I said, family comes up, my brothers come up, other people like to drink. I like to be a good host, that sort of thing. Have a
Okay.
good time, listen to music, even play some music every once in a while. But that would definitely help. I just don't know how likely that is for me.
Right. Okay, so I think you at least have a great start to cut back. Maybe your wife or daughter would see your efforts if you were to
I mean, it's
have
pretty
that
embarrassing,
Pepsi.
my wife or daughter having to say they have an alcoholic in the family or something like that, or they hear the jokes, or
Mm,
even sometimes I hear my own brothers or
right.
my nephew or something, make a crack in my direction. I don't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
enjoy that, but
Okay. So, I mean, that's the first time I heard you refer to yourself as an alcoholic. Up until this point, you've just said you've had problems with drinking. It's caused some issues. So, how does that make you feel using that term to describe yourself?
um, I don't. I guess I really haven't said it that much,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have a ton of thoughts on it. I don't know at this point if I necessarily drink more than I want to, but I can tell by the reaction or lack of reaction I get from my family and friends that I definitely drink more than they want me
Hmm.
to. Um, so I
What
definitely
does the
don't like.
term mean to you? What does alcoholic mean to you when you think of someone
I
who's an
would
alcoholic?
say if someone that's an alcoholic has almost no control or ability,
Hmm.
to stop, or I guess I don't want to use the word control twice, but just control their drinking or do it
Okay.
at some kind of a normal pace. I mean, I don't consider myself out of control other than the few DUIs. I'm not really the get into the fight, cause trouble, break the law type. I know, drinking and driving's against the law, but I don't necessarily see it as that big of a deal all the time. But
Hmm.
um, I don't like necessarily hearing it. It's definitely changed or stressed a lot of
Hmm.
relationships, for me.
Okay, so you don't consider yourself out of control. You just wish to cut back.
No, I don't think I'm out of control, but cutting back, yeah, something I definitely need to
Hmm.
do, work on,
Okay. So
progress.
why don't you start with what we talked about, and next time the beer, or I'm sorry, the Pepsi or the water is not working for you, you could go out, take a quad ride, do something to relax. Is that something you could work on? And maybe that would uh, make your wife and your daughter happy to see those efforts.
I could give that a try. I mean, it's simple enough to,
Okay.
kind of walk away from whatever's pissing me off and, you know, just go off somewhere on my property, or maybe I can get a few minutes to myself, maybe catch a little nature, something like that. I guess, yeah, that's possible.
Okay.